This is a time of great opportunity for BHP. The resources we produce are essential to the energy transition and global economic growth. Our products are fundamental to the way we live now and into the future. Now more than ever, we need to provide the world the resources it needs responsibly and sustainably. Imagine what we can achieve if we continue to think big.
Good morning. For those of you that I haven't met yet, my name is Sundeep Singh and I am the Group Procurement Officer here at BHP. I would traditionally commence by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land upon which we are meeting. However, today, given that we are meeting virtually, I will instead take this opportunity to extend my deepest respects to all traditional owner communities upon whose land BHP operates. And it is very unfortunate that we're unable to meet in person, but I am super pleased to be part of IMARC again this year. And what a year it has been, full of extraordinary challenges. I wanted to start though by taking this opportunity to thank you. Thank you for the resilience and partnership you have shown throughout this critical time. With your support, we've been able to demonstrate once again what this industry is capable of and what we have to offer. It's been fantastic to see the way that companies have mobilised to quickly safeguard the health of our workforces, to support communities and each other, all the while keeping our operations running. Our ability to keep operating and generate employment, taxes, royalties and dividends in a time of crisis has been a really positive differentiator relative to other industries. Now last year, I called upon you to help us build more productive and sustainable relationships. Relationships that bring competitive advantage. No one though could have foreseen the events that were going to unfold just 2 months later. We knew our partnerships were going to be a key differentiator for shared business value. But the way that came to life through COVID was so much more amplified than anything we could have expected. So many of you answered that call to arms. You stepped into the space and you showed us not only how to survive, but we came out of it better and stronger, more resilient. You should be incredibly proud of what you've accomplished and what we have accomplished together. We need to now take this resilience and the lessons learned from this difficult time and harness them. Harness them to grow better together, because there is a great opportunity confronting our industry to provide the resources the world needs for a better future. As I'll outline today, I think resilient supply chains are built with a culture of partnership. That's what will help us capture competitive advantage and shared business value. If there was any doubt, the pandemic has absolutely proven that supply chains are a vital source of competitive advantage. And I don't just say this as the Group Procurement Officer. Supply chains have had to withstand massive market change, rising trade tensions, disruptive technologies, the effect of climate change, and now COVID. These challenges have really showed us that supply chains not only need to be cost effective, but truly resilient and sustainable. It showed us the interconnectedness of the supply chain at its very depth, with impacts on things like people movement that previously had never been under threat. Navigating these complexities to thrive in a new normal requires us to rethink our supply chain, to build a supply chain that can actually adapt and remain agile, all the while remaining safe, removing waste, and of course, pulling cost out. Once it was clear, though, that COVID would present this significant challenge to our operations, our first priority was to keep people safe. We were quick to enforce social distancing and hygiene protocols. For the supply chain, we triggered the traditional responses, such as seeking alternative sources of supply for things like hygiene products. We managed our inventory levels for critical spares on our mobile and fixed plan. We even stepped up data analytics for supply chain transparency. However, none of this alone gave us our resilience. Over this past year, it's with your support that BHP's global supply chain adapted quickly to respond to this crisis. The competitive advantage of a resilient and sustainable supply chain comes from the work we do together, how we innovate, how we improve, how our relationships unlock future value opportunities that are just hard to replicate and others don't have. Partnering enabled us to react swiftly and confidently in these times. It has allowed our supply chain to rapidly repair with preferential treatment, reroute with joint collaboration, and reinvent for new value. So let me give you a few examples. Compass. Compass is our partner who provide facilities management support across our operations in Australia. And through COVID, they have been critical, providing everything from hygiene supplies to the safe movement and accommodation of our people. We could not have done this successfully with a transactional approach. Instead, partnership has led Compass through this time, through this difficult year, to build a facility in Perth known as The Academy. The Academy includes a training kitchen, juice and barista training stations, simulation accommodation rooms. The benefit has been twofold. Our BHP residents benefit from the highest standards and the skills that Compass staff gain to help us manage through this new COVID normal. And Compass benefits via, of course, improved customer satisfaction, but also the ability to train their people more broadly for roles outside of BHP. We now have the continued safe flow of people and a better experience for our workforce on site. Earlier, I spoke of increasing our supply chain transparency. Well, an example of this was our Supplier Illumination program. We were able to leverage advanced analytics, AI, with Deloitte, and this helped us create visibility into multiple tiers of our supply chain. We can now see information on our suppliers, suppliers, and even their suppliers. We all know that increasing visibility into the network to manage disruption is at the heart of future supply chain management. But what do you do with those insights? What do you do with them? You can have all of the control towers and data transparency and the reporting for your supply chain. But what are your relationships to repair, to reroute, to reinvent together? The resilience came from taking those analytics and sharing them with our partners, which in turn made their supply chains more robust. These shared analytics helped our explosives provider, Dyno Nobel, to mitigate disruption in their supply chain. The Illumination was a catalyst for Liebherr to review their stock holdings and identify parts that were better supplied locally. It also helped them identify second and third tier suppliers that required monitoring if the lockdowns were to persist in Europe. This has all meant that parts still flowed, and we were taking actions together where we saw those tier 2 and tier 3 suppliers being impacted. Through partnerships, we not only got advanced analytics, but the right collaboration to enable our supply chain to adapt quickly and meaningfully. This is real resilience. Now, looking forward, I believe there are so many positives that we need to take away from this year. And to me, it's about taking the spirit of partnership into our shared future. While the pandemic has been unsettling, the biggest challenges facing the world have not gone away, and in many instances, they will be amplified. And the only way to tackle them is collectively. This is embodied in the concept, build back better. A phrase that is becoming popular for good reason. Build back better frames the current situation as a clear choice to make the world a better place. The world must return to growth to help improve living standards and drive prosperity. But this growth needs to be clean, sustainable, and to the benefit of all. The resources companies like BHP provide, that many of you help us provide, will be central to this. And just like with COVID, supply chains that are steeped in partnership, collaboration and engagement will provide an advantage in reaching this goal. Now, it's one thing for me to stand here and provide the clarion call, but let me give you a taste of how we are partnering to build that better world. We announced at our Chilean copper mines in Escondida and Spence that we would move to 100% renewable energy. Our partners in Enel and Colburn will effectively displace 3 million tonnes of CO2 per year from 2022. That's around 700,000 combustion engine cars. We've just added to this last month with renewable contracts to CleanCo. These will reduce Scope 2 emissions for our Queensland operations by 50%. Now, at IMARC last year, I spoke about BHP's maritime team pushing to ignite LNG shipping. Now in October, they awarded the world's first LNG-fueled bulk carrier tender to Eastern Pacific Shipping. This initiative will reduce greenhouse gas emissions by more than 30% per voyage and help catalyse broader industry reductions across the shipping industry. The actions here are only a start, but they do show our commitment to responsible operations, to supporting decarbonisation in our own right, and working with strong, reliable partners. We also want to use different approaches for engaging suppliers to bring the best of the outside world in. And our Supplier Innovation Program is a great example of this. It's a series of challenges that work like a hackathon, where we put forward a business challenge to a group of suppliers and they all pitch ideas to solve them. The winning solution then goes towards a pilot before wider replication. A recent challenge was focused on fatality elimination. Fatality elimination across our top safety risks. This challenge generated 700 ideas. 700 ideas to solve problems that have never been solved before. Programs like this make it easier for the mining equipment and technology sector to connect with us, to access opportunities with us, while retaining their intellectual property, expanding their business, which in turn generates that broader economic recovery. We're also in the midst of establishing BHP's first Indigenous construction panel. This targets a set of sustained construction opportunities to traditional owner and Indigenous businesses. So we've talked about the examples of the work we're doing, but we also want to be easier to work with. Not only do we want to partner and collaborate with you, we want to make it easier for you to do business with us. And to that end, we're fixing our supplier onboarding and registration to be much simpler. We're rolling out SAP Ariba for payments so you get paid on time. And we'll be using this as an important channel to communicate with you. Our integrated contractor management program is developing tools to help you work better on site. We are really serious about the way we set ourselves up to work with you, because a culture of partnership allows us to lean into those future-facing challenges with a resilient and sustainable supply chain. My message is simple. The past year has shown what we can do when we work together. Through real partnerships, we've shown how resilient our businesses can be when faced with challenges that were previously unthinkable. My ask is this: even as the imminent threat of COVID slows, let's keep this spirit going. We have a chance to lift our collective standards even higher as we aim to build back better. The opportunity of doing this is so great, and the threat of not doing it so serious. We simply must come together to lift our shared business value, and in doing so, tackle issues like social value, climate change, and inclusion and diversity. Our shared prosperity depends on it. There will be clear winners and losers in the decade ahead. But I truly believe that the winners will be those who understand what's possible when we partner, when we challenge and transform together, when we go after shared business value. To conclude, this is a time of great opportunity for all of us. Because as great as the challenges are that the world is facing, we are certain in the strength and resilience that our supply chain gains through shared goals and valued partnerships. Thank you. Thank you very much.